with the news of lots of games releasing, having announcements, Summer Game Fest happening, the PlayStation PlayStation State of Play, the Xbox Showcase. There's a lot going on currently in this sort of not really E3 but E3-like season. And so I've basically been making a bunch of videos gushing about different games that I'm looking forward to, very interested in, and I hope that you guys are also looking forward to as well. So sure enough, we are now getting Resident Evil 9. Finally, after Resident Evil Village, we also got Resident Evil 4 make, and now we are getting Resident Evil 9. And I like what they're going with this. I like the direction that they're heading in. There is a lot to look forward to, and I feel like linking Resident Evil 9 to Resident Evil 4 in the way in which they're doing it feels good. And with the release of Resident Evil 4 Remake and making Resident Evil 9 and intrinsically linking these two games together is a very interesting idea in terms of overall release schedule. But let's actually look at Resident Evil 9. So, basically, I'm going to try and mute the audio just so I don't, cause any sort of jump scares audio-wise. Resident Evil 9's coming. We have an actual release date of the 27th of February 2026. It's going to be coming to PC, PS5, Xbox Series S and X, and is quoted by Jeff, mind you, saying a bold shift for the franchise in both tone and gameplay. Expect high stakes cinematic action on top of survival horror. And I really, really do wonder what that actually means here. And of course, the official reveal trailer looks absolutely insane. I mean, sure, we don't need gameplay to really get excited for this, but I do kind of wonder what, and the name of the game, insane by the way, Resident Evil Requiem. An interesting title nonetheless to go with something that seems like a generic word you would feature at the end of a title for a long-running franchise, but it kind of works for Resident Evil because of how absolutely camp the franchise can be. I mean, for Pete's sake, like, was it Leon Kennedy? I forgot. Resident Evil 5 punches boulders. Like, oh my god. So much good stuff happening. And I mean, just some of the imagery reminding us of Resident Evil 4. Like, there's a lot going on. Names of characters. Things being hinted at. The immediate showing of Raccoon City. Like, I don't know, man. I wonder what kind of, like, how deep it's gonna lead into the horror. Like, even just looking at this trailer is just absolutely fascinating. And just the font that they went for the game's name is just, it's beautiful. Like, check this out for a moment. So, a reference to probably PT in a way. But, so we get to see a face, but look at that. Look at, like, it feels like they're going for a very sort of horror movie style thing. It has that sort of Saw vibe with, like, the trap that our main character is in, the text being of a very similar font you would expect to see with Saw. Like, I do wonder if they're going more in a direction where it's you are the person in the Saw trap. You have to find your way out. I wonder if that's the direction that they're leaning in, because that would be, it would be insane, because the closest thing that we have to something that resembles a Saw game is actually not the Saw game that we got from, like, the PS3 generation, like Saw and Saw 2, but instead was Zero's Escape Zero Time Dilemma. For those of you guys that don't know, Zero's Escape is a series of escape room games. And Zero's Escape Zero Time Dilemma is basically the third game of the trilogy that builds up a lot of story, a lot of lore, and, really delivers. an exceptional ending that ties all of the ends together across this absolutely insanely told story that features virtues. Which features 999, nine people, nine doors, and Virtue's Last Reward, which was the second game, and then the third game, Zero Time Dilemma. So I do kind of wonder if they're going in a very similar direction. So we've got our main character, Grace, and then so she's strapped to a gurney, hearing a mysterious figure say, "I now know that you're the one I've been searching for, special one, chosen one." So I feel like they're going into a very culty atmosphere, and the thing is that I'm kind of not a fan of that, only because Silent Hill went down that path before, adding the cult to the Silent Hill franchise. Like, the town being freaky is enough, adding a cult to it and being intrinsically tied towards multiple games in the franchise really didn't do the game any favors. In fact, it didn't add to the game, but it didn't necessarily take away as much as you would. It just felt like an unnecessary bit of lore in the Silent Hill universe, so to speak. But yeah, if Grace is playable, is she the only one? Are established Resident Evil characters like Leon in the game playable? We just don't know any details at the moment. We just have this announcement trailer to go off of. And so Capcom's official website has an actual official blurb. That's interesting. Let's have a little bit of a read. So, Requiem for the Dead, Nightmare for the Living. Resident Evil Requiem is the 9th title in the mainline Resident Evil series. Prepare to escape death in a heart-stopping experience that will chill you to your core. A new era of survival horror begins in 2026. Technological advancements combined with the development team's depth of experience, combined in a story with rich characters and gameplay that's more immersive than before. I'm interested because Resident Evil 7 definitely really brought Resident Evil back after 5 and 6 became way too horror oriented, and Resident Evil 4 was actually known to be exceptionally good, not for its combat and not for its horror element, but rather for how absolutely camp, entertainingly well written the characters were, how everyone was voiced and presented. Like, it was just a damn good time. 5 and 6 kind of ruined everything by going way too much into the sort of almost comedically horror place. Then we get 7, which goes back to basics with some good old first-person horror that likely was taken from the Slender and Outlast type of gameplay that we've seen in the past, but being delivered in an exceptional way. But then we got Resident Evil 8, which the director said was Resident Evil 7 was considered too scary, and so we kind of, walked back a bit of the scares in Resident Evil 8. And then, instead, we end up getting Resident Evil. Now we're getting Resident Evil 9. So I do actually kind of wonder what direction they're going to take. Are they going to, rather than step back any further from the horror, step more into it? But if they do, are we going down the path of torture porn like Saw, or are we kind of leaning more back into the direction of Resident Evil 7, but with a bit of a twist? That is really the question that we're wondering at the moment. And of course, the last game that we got was Resident Evil 4 Remake, which I'm not going to talk about IGN's 10 out of 10 that they gave it. Yeah, that's all well and good. But yeah, basically we find ourselves in a very, very interesting spot. Basically, end of Resident Evil 3, Raccoon City gets nuked, and that's where Resident Evil 9 will take place, chronologically speaking. So for any lore heads of Resident Evil, there's a bit of info for you. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that all turns up, considering that I'm not actually a man of lore when it comes to the Resident Evil franchise, but that's also not to say that I'm not at least interested in looking it up now that this has become something of a bit of a confirmation as to where, if there was a timeline where Resident Evil 9 is going to sit. That being said, however, let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments below. Let me know, are you actually interested in Resident Evil 9? Why not? Are you even interested in the Resident Evil series at all? Were there times where you enjoyed the series? Were there times where you were completely bummed out by the series? Because if there's one thing I can say with absolute certainty, is that while Silent Hill was gone, Resident Evil really picked up the slack from 7 onwards. But now with Silent Hill going back to basics, with Silent Hill 2 remake, and now getting Silent Hill F, there's a lot to look forward to as a horror game fan, and I cannot say how excited I am to see all of this come through. So let's stay cautiously optimistic as we wait to see what the future of Resident Evil and Silent Hill are going to look like. But with all that being said, however, like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 500 subs by the end of the year. And with all that being said, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.